well. This is RNG kind of saying, look, we got to go for something different. They're going to take away a red side ban and just take it for themselves.
Exactly. That's what I'm curious about, right? Because this NIP would have banned this for sure. NIP kept their bans from game 1 to game 2. They would have no reason to change a ban going into game 3. So I'm very curious to see what the game plan is. I actually kind of like that NIP keep the same vibe ban and you keep bans somewhat similar. So this time, the things left in from last game is that Poppy is going to be open, but Tristana, I think this is where you immediately go with NIP. This brought you so much success in the last game. Angel did have some good moments, despite the fact that he wasn't, and didn't have to be the highlight player in that game. So I think definitely lean towards Tristana here. And then I wonder if they're going to be looking at jungle once again, or even just looking at another flex pick. Like, go back to that rel. It can go in either bot or jungle, and it's going to leave RNG guessing.
This is the thing, when you pick the Jace, you almost certainly have to go for something like the Maokai, or you have to, first pick have a Kai'Sa in your inventory. We'll see RNG going towards the Varus. I like this pickup here, but the big question, because we talked about it a little bit after game number 2, can LP play it?
Yeah, this is the only other champion, like I said, where he does have a positive win rate on it. 2 games, both were wins, but again, that doesn't give a whole lot of confidence in that fundamental amount of games. But we'll see. At least that sets him up to be able to play like kind of range, poke composition, and really deliver quite well. Oh my God.
I love this.
We get it. I assume Tristana mid and Ziggs coming on the bot lane, but right, it really could be either or, as, we have seen Ziggs mid, especially in other regions, APA and the LCS really was causing a commotion with that one. But, down in that bot lane, being able to match the Varus with the range that comes through. And NIP overall, it's going to be interesting to see how this comp works out when you have 2 champions that do want to all in, like the Tristana and the Rel, and then you have the Ziggs kind of being a different style. Of course, Tristana, as the game goes on and your range does increase, you can play. It's a kind of kite, not really against Jace Varus, I'm being honest. Like you do have to rely on all-ins, but it means who's ever piloting the Ziggs is going to be playing a bit of a different game than the rest of the NIP squad.
That's the thing with the Ziggs, is that you're always just sitting, basically putting yourself into lanes where you're saying, look, I want to absorb pressure. You take the TP, you become effectively another solo laner, but your job is to just clear waves. Your job is to poke and clear waves and try and just help your team control the map in that regard. And I think the key thing is with a Ziggs that control is key. You need to be able to put him in the right position. If he starts falling down or if he starts getting overloaded, then you're going to start to really struggle to kind of utilize him correctly. So curious to see what lane he goes to. We are expecting it to be Photic with the Ziggs and Angel with the Tristana, but we'll wait to see how it is now, as we do see quite a few support bans being thrown in there alongside the Ivern, who can be a little bit of a halfway house as well.
I'd love to see some sort of like engaged tank come out topside for NIP, whether it's whether it's a Malphite, whether it's an Ornn, something like that. I mean, you have 2 immobile carries on the side of RNG. You'll be able to soak up so much of the damage, considering a lot of it's going to be AD. Of course, some's going to be AP coming out from the Varus too, but I think just having a big, beefy frontliner on that top side would go a long way for NIP in their draft holistically. But RNG going to get their hands on the Cassante this time. So Breathe, I think, can have a lot more room to impact this game, especially in 5v5s, which is what all the RNG fans need right now. You are praying to the altar of Breathe and what he's able to do on this Cassante pick.
I do not expect Invincible to pick up the Quinn here. It would be an exceptional curveball to throw in here, but the Poppy, I do expect to see. The thing is, when you go into the Cassante matchup, you want something that can either get away from him or get him away from you. Things like the Malphite with the ultimate, and of course the Keeper's Verdict here from the Poppy tend to be those things that you're able to kind of work with. So, I mean, again, I really like what NIP have built in for themselves here. It does feel like they're going to be able to control those early dragons, having, Shadow on an early jungler, and this, the first game, the Rel was banned. The second game, the Poppy was banned. This time, neither are banned, and they get both.
Yeah, and NIP's comp, I mean, has different dimensions to it, right? Because you have things like the Poppy to provide, like, peel and disengage. Alistar can do the same thing, and then you have the range of the Ziggs to play with. But you also have tons of engage coming through, like those same champions. Rel and Alistar can do that, then Tristana with the rocket jump. So I'm going to be very interested to see how NIP end up playing out, especially in these team fights. A lot will probably be dictated in terms of what leads they can find in their early laning phases. And this time around, having like a Varus and bot side should be able to hopefully help RNG maintain like a semblance of some early bot pressure before Ziggs is able to get like a lost chapter online, and then you really are just kind of like throwing out bombs and clearing waves. But yeah, we're going to see what that really opens up junglers to do. Because Shadow so far has been on fire. A lot has felt to what especially like bot and mid have been delivering to him, to where Wei has not had that same impact.
No, really hasn't. And again, we'll see if the early Dragons do go stacking towards the side of NIP, or if RNG can get themselves some kind of a foothold in this game. Lyric, we are now down to, if you lose, you are out for RNG. One Nexus explosion away from them ending 2023 on a big low. NIP, though, very much feeling the momentum, very much feeling like they are the ones moving into that next round to potentially make an upset against Weibo. But it has to first be confirmed. They have to blow up the Nexus before they can start celebrating. And this is a huge moment for both of these rosters, both trying to make their stamp with their new setups, their new franchise players, if you want to call them that. And I mean, it's all or nothing here for RNG. They have to step forward.
They really do. And I mean, for RNG, like we said, second most winningest organization in LPL history against NIP. If you're not counting Victory 5, this is the organization's first 10 run in playoffs ever. And already doing such a great job with no expectations to make a name for themselves.
Now seeing an early invade here from RNG. Lila getting himself onto the Rakan, but I mean, you're taking the pulverize regardless as well, so he just catches that one out. Again, yeah. I like that RNG go for it, but I feel like NIP were kind of saying, you know what? They're a bit desperate if they're making this one here, so we're going to just cover ourselves in all facets of the word.
I do got to say, it's like one of the, in my opinion, like most efficient adaptations you could make from game to game is level 1s. And it was like one of the things, especially like back in the day coaching, like, because it's just so easy, right? It's not something where you have to like fundamentally think about how to change your game with pretty much no time. So I at least like the attempt coming out from RNG because it shows, right? They're trying to put a front foot forward and actively have a chance in the series.
Well, with the sweeper, does make sure that Angel doesn't have a full bout of information to kind of go from here, but kind of see Angel having a little bit. We haven't actually spoken about him that much at all, really, in this series because he's just done his job. But coming up against his old organization, he's out for blood.
Exactly right. He played for RNG in spring. If people didn't know, he was sharing time with Tangyuan. And back in spring, when Angel was on RNG, they beat Weibo, which of course is Angel's former team. And he said when you beat your former team, you think it's a normal day. Until years later, when it turns out it's the best day in the world. I don't know he knows that yet, because it hasn't been years later since he's beaten Weibo. But point is, this man puts a lot of value on beating his former teams. And he is doing it so far.
He's been absolutely exceptional into Tangyuan right now, and honestly, it is like one of the few times where you're like, it's a direct comparison. You're both fighting in the first round of playoffs. You are literally being replaced by someone else, and he has just done his job really well, kind of deserved from Angel.
I love that first round is him against RNG, his last team, and then if NIP win here, he gets to play up against his last team, right? Weibo. So really, if NIP make a sick run here, then Angel's definitely going to have, like, the narrative buffs going forward. And just a reminder, NIP have no championship points. RNG only have 10. This is pretty much do or die for either of them, even if they want to, like, try and qualify for regionals. Like, they need to go on more of a run to get those points to make their way into that regional bracket if, like, let's say they did get shut down by, you know, a BLG or JDG later on in the bracket.
Yeah, that's the thing. We mentioned it right at the top of the day, but of course, you know, coming into this one now, it is a lose here and you don't get another shot. That's it. 2024, we'll see you in 5 months. I always have to kind of keep saying 5 months because it doesn't make sense in my head how much time is going to pass compared to, you know, most of the regular season because, you know, of course we got Asian Games and then of course we have World Championships, but this year there is just so much time between now and the start of 2024 because we haven't even got those dates yet. We don't even know when that's starting. So that's just, you know, again, for these pro players, you have to start thinking about that in the long term of like, right, well, where am I going to be what am I going to be doing for the next 5 months, basically?
Yeah, exactly right. And yeah, just it's a lot of pressure on the line here for what they're able to do. As it seems like Bree, this is his 400th game in the LPL. And now the Cassante against the Pompey. I mean, right, just going to end up being a farm lane. Typically, the Pompey is brought out into things like the Jax because of like what the Steadfast presence is able to bring in that 1v1 matchup, kind of neutralizing some of these carries. But bringing it up, tank versus tank, we were saying we wanted to see him take something that can absorb a lot of damage. And he did end up doing it again. I feel like the thing I'm most curious about NIP's comp is the fact that you do kind of get outranged, but it's not a big deal since LP is going to go the on-hit route and not the lethality like Poke Varus build. But yeah, so they are going to have some different dimensions in terms of how they are able to play it. But we've seen so far, Sheen, everything has really just been down to how Shadow has navigated through the early games.
And the thing is right now is that Shadow hasn't been, really caught out in the first 2 games. We see Invincible gets knocked back. Gonna get hit in here, but a taxi right back. Breathe has to flash away. No mana left for Invincible. Oh, my lord, that was close. They're going to see a TP coming in here for Breed, but Summoner burnt here from the RNG top side. And now NIP know they could maybe get something going for themselves. Maybe another TP in and try and make something happen in this top lane.
I don't think it'd be very worthwhile to invest anything in top side as NIP just for the matchup. Is RNG, their bot lane at least having a better time so far with Lola.
Sure.
They also do have a very aggressive bot lane 2v2, right? Varus, incredibly strong in lane. You're up against a Ziggs Alistar, which it obviously doesn't really have much 2v2 prowess, but yeah, point is, even with the caveats and the silver linings, after how the past 2 games went, after how RNG's last few regular season series went for their bot lane, you'll take it.
Will absolutely take it. Both TPs have been used. There's a Sheen versus a Bomby Cinder. Level 6s now across the board for the solo laners. As we wait to see where the next kind of big... Go on.
I sidetracked myself from making my last point. Nothing interrupted me about talking about the top
I was going to say,
game.
I was like, you know what? You can say whatever you want, but I don't know how to bring this back. So if you don't want to talk about it anymore, we don't have to talk about it.
I just got excited that RNG were winning some 2v2 trades, and I wanted to highlight it because who knows when we'll get a chance to do that again, Ashid. Because I don't know if it'll be anytime soon.
No, I'm joking.
Oh no, man. That was almost as bad as Hysterics saying last time, who's learning American in the RNG game.
Yeah. Unnecessary flame from casters is it's kind of our jam. But we start seeing a very familiar sight here from the side of NIP, putting pressure around this Dragon Pit as Breed's taking a very poor trade. Has to go all out, trying to see if he can make this one work. Invincible, he stutter stepped just a little bit, and now he's going to try and fully commit. Good dash is coming out here, but he's dodging out Breed's Qs. This is great from Invincible for the moment, but if he gets knocked back, you feel like he's going to be in a lot of trouble. Still has his ultimate available to him. There's the buckler down. He's looking for him. One more dash. No flash. Does he have enough damage? No, he doesn't. Invincible, though, is really putting on pressure here onto Breed, and Breed is not having as much of a good time as he expected.
No, I'm actually surprised that Invincible didn't want to invest the ult in trying to find the kill. Knock up into the Q, try and guarantee that secondary damage coming through, get one auto off, maybe you find it. Because at the end of the day, with that Hunting Fruit, Breed should be fine to make his way back to lane. And Invincible actually might have to be careful a bit himself. With still having that ultimate, not the end of the world, right? If Breed tries to run at you, you can at least always yeet him away. But I think you'd rather not use that one defensively after you almost found that solo kill.
Oh, Breed. Yeah, he called out on Invincible's bluff and said, you know what? I'm not going to actually throw out this knockback, but if you're in that brush, you're going to think I am. And that's exactly what happened. Does get the crash back. So Invincible trying to see if he can maybe get this wave in a slightly better position for himself while he looks for his recall. And we see on the minimap there, Breed recognizing it as well. So he's going to try and keep himself here. But this is the thing. Dragon was taken by RNG. So Breed will have an inkling that Shadow is in this top side. No flash, no all out. And if you can put down the Steadfast Presence, and they now know that someone is on this top lane. Yeah, NIP, they're going to try and maybe go for it here. They're going to look to try and just burst him down before he can really do anything. There's the Magnet Storm. Do they have the damage, the crash down, the shielding? They don't really have the flash, the ignite. Lela does not quite get the kill confirmed, but now Shadow is in no man's land. And a good roam here from the mid lane of RNG secures the first blood here for RNG.
And, I mean, RNG have been able to maintain bot lane pressure with the matchup, with the fact that we did see Shadow kind of hovering around mid and top side, which allows for the rotation to come up first. It was already Herald timing, so you already knew they'd want to bring up Lola. Tangyuan also making his way over. Just gives them the kill. Angel at least finds some plates in the mid lane. And for NIP, they're always going to have threat in this game, even if they start falling a little bit behind, because right, Tristana plus Ziggs, those are demolition monsters. Like, anytime RNG are not on the right place on the map later on in the game, turrets will just fall. But we'll go right into the replay. I like the idea, right? I think you wouldn't expect Invincible to still be here, even though Breed did have a good idea. But look at the minimap. The rotation's already so good from them. Sure, Magnet Store might come out into the Crashdown, but the damage just isn't there yet. Everything connected from the NIP members. And now Shadow left to do Machine. What a beautiful thing.
Not really in the best positions to make things work there. We will see Photic having some decent damage. Unfortunately, misses the Mega Inferno bomb, but they are keeping control around this bot mid lane. And that's the thing. Angel's been able to get quite a bit of plate damage down, kind of making sure that turret doesn't have the same level of consistency should the Rift Herald be dropped down on top of it. So things like that can be the difference maker in these mid-game skirmishes. Angel now with his support, just trying to be a bit of a nuisance here into the mid lane as Wade just kind of hovers off to the side. But good start here from RNG. I feel like Lila is feeling a little bit more emboldened with the fact that it's a Ziggs on the bot side, so he can go for some of these plays around the map.
I will say, I wonder what's going on in Lila's mind, right? Because there could be almost no pressure if you haven't been getting any practice with the team and you just come in and it's allowing you to play so confidently, or if it's all the pressure of the world in terms of, you know, yeah, you're like, oh my god, I'm getting subbed in. I haven't played any regular season games with you guys. So far, it kind of looks like the first one. Playing very confidently. I love how much he's like working around the map, knowing that there really isn't that much kill threat on LP in that bot lane. But now with the Swifties coming out for draw, he's going to be able to put up a ton of pressure on this map as well.
Yeah, I've actually seen this from Joe last game as well on the Alistar. He does seem to prioritize getting these Swifties as early as possible, you know, kind of putting a lot of emphasis on the fact that he can roam around the map, that he is going to be that little bit faster to find an opportunity to make something happen. As Breed Invincible, just stopping each other's backs in this top side. I will say, finally, Breed is getting a little bit of a better time in terms of the CS matchup. So he's having a much, you know, kind of cleaner time of making sure that he's getting an advantage here. And the Cassante is going to have one target and one target only, and that is going to be Angel on this Tristana. He needs to get rid of this AD carry in every single fight and just make sure they're not just dumping in damage here into any of the carries of RNG.
Yeah, fights are going to be really interesting because, like, you have that dynamic with Breathe. Even, like, Tang Yuan, if he's able to, like, use an Accelerate Shock Blast to force Angel out of lane or a fight early on, can end up doing so much. Then you have to, like, readjust your priorities. Maybe you end up, like, bringing out an Engager from a team fight as Breed. So I think it's going to be very dynamic, just, again, with the way that NIP have drafted their composition. But so far, RNG doing a great job of maintaining pressure on the spot side. Subbing in Lola so far has just made their map movements look so much more proactive. And, right, we do need to keep highlighting the draft difference as well. The Varus Rakan really does just add so much more presence. But with Dragon coming up in 30 seconds, RNG look primed to have position for this one. Joy shouldn't be able to sneak into any, like, cheeky angles to find those Alistar engages he was finding last game.
This thing will find Lula. Lula will knock him back over the wall. There's 2 plates confirmed into that mid lane. Or is it 1? I can't tell exactly how low that mid lane tier plate was, but
just
10 seconds still. Dragon. Yeah, just the 1. So Dragon is in. Good poke here on top of Angel. Does have a TP, so maybe just looking to push in this wave and then maybe look for a bit of a reset as the Vampire Acceptor to try and eke up some kind of a health advantage. With triple TP on your team, it was very difficult to really make this one kind of, you know, stick here on this poke, but they're going to try and invest in all this damage here onto Zhuo. Those are 2 tanky members, the Rel and the Alistar. You will get both the ultimates out of them. And that just means that 4 ultimates down means NIP have no way in hell they're going to be able to try and contest this Dragon.
RNG pretty much views the same, right? Considering that Tang Yuan is on the Jace, doesn't really have an ultimate to expend. But RNG there, had LP, I mean, right, it's hindsight. Had LP, like, maybe, like, committed flash art, like, then you do lock one of them down, you find the kill before the flashes come through. But still, the fact that you get that flash coming out from Shadow, definitely a win for RNG. You didn't have to commit any on that play. So now we're going to see what happens with resets coming out to who can maintain pressure on this Drake. RNG are the ones who have, like, wards in river, but NIP, with the fact that Joel already coming from base, might have some tempo that they can play with, but doesn't seem like it, actually. Because look where Wei is, Ashin. He's already back, that damned tree.
The damn tree coming back in and making things awkward. But yeah, I mean,
did you hear the discussion Jamada and Munchables were having about which is, like, the bigger tree, Maokai or Ivern?
It's Maokai.
Of course! I think it was
like,
Shimada who said it was Ivern. What are you talking about?
No, Ivern is just a man. Ivern was just a man who was his lore is basically he was like cutting down things in the forest, and the forest basically made him a tree to become the guardian of the forest.
I don't know why I didn't know why Jamada had to catch strays during the series.
Nah,
but
man, nah, you can't be going into lore and not having me part of that discussion. All right, I read too much about this goddamn League of Legends universe to not know almost every detail about these champions. But you know, gotta be right. You gotta be factually correct. You're gonna throw in that Ivern's bigger. A man is bigger than a literal like mountain tree. Get out of here! Like, get out of here!
Huh, I didn't know it was a mountain tree.
Kind of. It's hard to. I'll explain it to you off count. This is not a discussion for a round one playoff. It is so much to discuss.
We also even have like we can see on the minimap RNG making their way up. Herald is going to be up in 10 seconds. NIP had already gotten some of their like first lines of vision down, but I don't think they should be in a position to contest this because Angel already moved his way down to bot lane. He doesn't have a TP. Breed still does have his. So if NIP do posture for this, they couldn't set themselves up in like a theoretically very dangerous position, especially since Shadow still doesn't have that flash online. If he commits with the crash down, he just is in.
Yeah. Well, Lila is sitting on a ward right now, and he doesn't know it just yet. There's going to be Nature's Grasp, going to stop anyone from really engaging on top of this one, and that's another objective. 4 in a row here for RNG in this game number 3. They are building a gold lead. They've got themselves 2 dragons as well. Unfortunately for them, it is a Chem Soul. It's not the most ideal of situations to find yourselves in, and I mean, again, I'm kind of thinking, I'm looking at this composition. I'm like, yes, the poke is good from the Varus and the Jace, but how do you siege towers here as RNG without having something like a Baron? Because I just feel like you have so many ways of covering the waves with the Tristana and the Ziggs.
Yeah, the wave clear, absolutely ridiculous coming out for NIP. And that's why, despite the fact that I wanted to say this game was over when RNG got first strike. Because you know what? NIP got first strike in the games they won. It didn't happen. It's an anomaly. Now I think they'll lose. But I think their composition gives them a lot of freedom in the mid game, like I said, to play the map, to where if RNG do overcommit to one side, being able to use the Ziggs to like take down a tower in mid with that satchel, or if they, you know, that they play away from the Tristana Angel, being able to do the same thing in that bot lane. Seriously, this composition can be so punishing. Hell, a bad back. Suddenly that's Baron going over at NIP, that there's just so many things that they'll be able to do. So I don't think they're sweating too much that they are kind of falling on the back foot, right? 1K gold down, 2 Drakes behind, because they do have some of those comeback mechanisms built into their comp that they'll be able to play around as the game progresses.
Like I said, Chem Soul, not the most impactful one in the world. We'll say it's great for something like a Cassante. LP, a little bit off to the side there with a Chain of Corruption. We are going to see the Rift Herald get dropped here into this mid lane, and the Nature's Grasp as well. They really want to break open this turret. They should be able to confirm it here. Lila tries to move forward. Oh, he got greedy. He got greedy, and now he will be punished for it. He's getting a little bit of shielding. The burn is enough. And that is why you cannot be that lackadaisical. That is why you can't just walk up to these things, because you will be punished. Oh,
yeah, those small mistakes, all out.
They're going to try and leave him, and that's a fantastic play from Breed. He's taking matters into his own hands, but now the game is starting to get a little bit weird. Now we're starting to see all of these movements happening around the map, and not quite able to get the turret, though, in the mid lane. Bot lane being pushed in. This game's starting to get a bit scrappy.
Oversteps, just oversteps across the board, right? Lola, as you're pointing out, mid lane. Angel in that top side. Breed doing a great job to punish that, but we do see top laners kind of trading sides of the map, but Invincible needs to get the hell out of Dodge. I think he should be fine. Yep, with Wei not having an ulti, there's no way to be able to cover that amount of distance with CC to be able to buy time for the other members to be able to come through. But still, RNG pushing their lead even further. It's the first time this series where we've seen RNG actually in a position of power. And let's remember, RNG, if you consider their name, you see the little number sign on the 7 mark, they came in as the higher seed. And it's taken 3 games for them to find any semblance of control. It's taken a sub that they haven't played with all split long to find any semblance of control.
Is that control going to be enough? That's the thing. It's only, as you say, it's only a small little bit of it. Let's have a look at the replay here, as we can see that Lila just kind of goes, wait guys, we can go for this. We can get this tower 100%. We committed everything. And then for some reason, Tangyuan just doesn't auto it, just kind of leaves it, assuming it will go down. And that's enough to confirm the kill onto Lila. even though he tries his absolute damnedest as a Rakan to try and get out. But now he's without a flash and without an ignite. And of course, we do know as well as that the TP into the flash from Breed on top side led to the death of Angel. But now you're looking at no flash on Breed for this next play if he looks to try and, you know, take out someone before this dragon fight.
Pyjamas so far doing a great job with this poke to make sure that NIP can't enter. And I'm sorry, I looked at NIP's comp and it threw me off that like 4 of the champions of NIP's comp have been played as supports at various times, right? Like
yes.
both Ziggs and Poppy have been supports at various times, either in meta, like in pro play, or in solo queue. So yeah, the support squad not gonna end up contesting the Drake. So RNG gonna find themselves on a very early soul point. The position we've seen NIP find themselves in the past few games, going so solid. And now NIP, it seems like going to try to default to playing this kind of cross-map style. Do have a foothold towards this top side for now. I think we're waiting for Jwala to get involved before they can actually more confidently walk up and join the fray. And Photic doesn't have his ultimate. So that same Ziggs follow-up is...
Angel lost... Yeah, I was going to say, Angel got hit by the knockback, which means he did not get his jump away. Breed goes all out, but that's going to be a Chem's Honey Fruit to try and bring this one back in. LP has to flash out, drops down the Chain of Corruption. As you can see, Shadow flashing away. Photic gets jumped on. A Tango picks up a kill. It's the solo laners just bringing this one right back for RNG. As they will get themselves a 5-for-0 triple kill for Tanguan. And finally, RNG breathe life into this game.
And this is why, as RNG, you need to play around your solo laners. You need to play around your top side of the map. They've been the ones delivering all split long. They're the ones you're familiar with in terms of Way and Breathe and that synergy from past splits. And again, we can see what Breathe has been able to do because, my God, like that initial threat he's putting on Angel. Angel feeling safe because you have Rel not too far away. On highlight, Photic doesn't have ult here, so like he can't really help out with that at all. But there it is, the Q3 canceling that rocket jump like you highlighted, and then using the all-out to separate him from his strong jungler. And then TP is going to end up coming out, I believe, from Tanguan. Or does Tanguan actually just end up running all the way around? Yeah, no, just Blast Plants over, actually. Gets the initial Shock Blast off. That whole skirmish is cool, but finds his way onto Photic after the Maokai ult gets the root down. Breathe continuing to make sure that Angel can't run forward because there's a giant Cassante in his face. And it's really that separation that started all this off. But it all began with Breathe. Breathe with that beautiful Q3 on the Cassante to make magic happen.
And this is exactly what you want to be seeing here from RNG. Great as well, considering they threw in a brand new support. Cannot emphasize that enough. And does feel like they're finally finding a little bit of rhythm, a little bit of rhyme to make something happen. I will say that they should be able to confirm this tower pretty much without contest. Top lane, you have got Angel just pushing in that top side. He will be able to take those turrets very, very quickly now that he has the Navori Quick Blade. But what will they lose because of it? They can't really kill off these tower or these cannon minions. Because Photic's on the Ziggs. He hasn't got that damage yet.
No, and I mean, at this point, I feel like it's going to be so hard for RNG's comp to play from behind. I don't feel like they have any damage to really contest in a straight-up 5v5, which is why they're committing Angel to that side lane to keep pulling on pressure and pull RNG away from the siege down in bot.
Won't break open the base just yet. Angel will pick up a couple more camps on the side just to make sure he's getting as much out of this as he possibly can. I will say, Angel making sure that the NIP only lose. I've actually just the Baron gold itself, to be perfectly honest, right now. So not the worst situation to be being in golden. It hasn't exploded or broken open the game to a point where you can't actually fight. And RNG with a minute 40 to that Chem Soul does get spawned onto the Rift. They will be looking to confirm that one for themselves. And honestly, I think that NRP will be happy to let that one go so they can maybe contest for an Elder, which would be a huge flip of the game.
Really would. RNG gonna have just all the control in the world with, again, the push that Breathe has in bot side. And as Sheen, I just want to see RNG play around this guy in this series. Like, again, he's leading in solo kills. He's leading in early game aggression. He's you know, great laning, great team fighting. So many things this guy has done well this split. And it feels like he should be the win condition for RNG. This game, they didn't necessarily need to play around him. It's been him kind of post-laning phase. But we see what he's able to do when he's on some picks that are strong in the meta, that kind of fit the game state. And I really hope if RNG can pick this one up and bring us to a game 4, that the strat just becomes keep enabling breathe, keeps putting Tang Yuan in spots where he's comfortable.
Shadow did sneak his way around here. So they don't actually know where he is. They haven't spotted him out just yet. They should be able to spot. No, Lilo goes past this one here. So now they know where he is. Okay, Shadow recognizes he's been caught out. And he might be in a little bit of trouble, but he should be able to walk away. There's going to be the Shirelia's battle song as he tries to get the remount going in. There's the Magnet Storm down, but he is dead. Breathe keeps the rest of NIP from joining in on that particular rescue party. And look, I like the idea from Shadow. He knows his team is behind. He knows that the only way they're going to get back into this is by finding those kind of flanks. Unfortunate, just too much vision for him to try and back away out of.
Exactly. It's a desperation play. I mean, look at his items. The man is broke. He's hoping that Burger King starts selling their 20-piece nuggets for $1 again, because what else can you afford in today's world?
Was that a thing?
It was 20-piece nuggets for $1.
Damn.
That was a solid, cheap way to
That's
to get some meals.
yeah. That's a
And
good deal.
Shadow ain't getting that right now, and he needs it. He needs it on the budget he's living on.
Yeah, he's going to try to get the Warmogs finished up as soon as he can, just trying to get, deal with the poke coming out, but it's difficult, to say the least. I will say for NIP, they do have, plenty of time before the next real fight happens. 1-30 till Baron. It's going to be difficult enough for RNG to try and 100% secure that without committing everybody to it. So we'll see what NIP can do. And they are starting to build up those third items onto their carries. So if they can get the Lord Dominic's Regards onto Angel and then potentially what looks like possibly a Shadow Flame onto Photic, we'll see what they want to go for at the end of it all. But Elela just having a great debut. To be perfectly honest, having a fantastic debut here on RNG. And what a time to do it.
Exactly. And, regardless of, the individual play or, how much impact the bot lanes had, just RNG have looked so much more confident on the map. The draft changed. Everything changed with this coming in his way. Going to look for the engage. No follow-up. Going to be able to come out from this. But it seems like for now, RNG are kind of fine. Pushing in waves, maintaining a deep vision line in the enemy jungle, and just waiting for this Baron to come up and try and get some more pushing power, because you hit on it earlier, right? Despite the fact that NIP are, falling behind, they have great wave clear. Now with that Lord Dominic's, Angel's going to be able to put some threat on people like Breathe in team fights. And all it's going to take at this point is one misstep for NIP to be right back in this game.
And we wait. It is RNG's game to lose. Baron spawning in 20 seconds, and they pretty much have push in every single lane. Zhou taking a little bit of poke here from the 3.5 item Jace. Who is gonna, if he can land it onto Photic or onto Angel, that is a very scary position to be in. Shadow trying to jump in here onto Breed, but crashes down straight away. They get a little bit of poke onto Zhou, which stops him from flanking around. And that's where the game kind of state is going to be right now. It's going to be about who can get what engage off, who can catch out the carries of either side before we can really go for something. But in RNG, I love this. Just say, yeah, we don't care anymore. We can go for this. They now know it's being taken, but the vision control is exceptional here from RNG. I don't think you're going to be able to try and steal this. There's the Mega Inferno Bomb, but it's just too little, too late, and now NIP are a little bit overextended. They're going to have to try and run away from this one here themselves. Flash in, not going to be able to get on top of them. There's a great Sonya's from LP. NIP threw it into one last-ditch effort. They needed something to go their way, and unfortunately for them, there was just too much available for RNG. RNG will get themselves onto the board, and we will not have a 3-0 today.
No, great bounce back coming out from them is, Photic and Shadow are at least going to make it incredibly annoying. No. Yep, they're still just going to end. Look,
I was like, I'm going to wait for you to look mid, yeah.
I was looking mid, but I was also like, okay, how long can Photic be annoying? And can he, TP out and maybe find the wave clear? The answer is no.
No. The answer is no, and RNG will get themselves to a 1-game score. They are still looking at a match point in favor of NIP, but they've got themselves on the board. And if you needed a tactical substitution to go right, that was it. He didn't have to do anything exceptional. He just did his job. The draft and everything felt a lot better, and RNG just come out with a much more cohesive style here in game number 3.
Yeah, I want to start there, right? Because the draft felt a lot better. It felt like one thing they did differently, and NIP kind of caved into this as well by ending up with Ziggs